Karen says, um, what answering service do you use and how do you pitch it as add-on to businesses? I use answerconnect.com. I've been using them since 2014 when I first set up my first call center for tree services. I've been using Answer Connect ever since. There are other options out there, just to be clear, but we are currently also having one developed using AI instead. It's aianswer.us. So this costs more in development, but overall, once you pay the development costs, then it actually becomes less expensive in the long run because of the less costs than it is for Answer Connect. So I'm currently, for my local SEO agency, Tree Care HQ, I'm having this app developed and it does a lot more than just answer. It can also do outbound calls, SMSs, and this integrates fully with High Level. So this is currently in progress. We're about 5 or 6 weeks into development. It should be done roughly in the next couple of weeks, probably 2 weeks or so. Should be ready to be fully live and integrated into my agency at that point. But in the meantime, I've been using this one, Answer Connect, for my clients, for my tree service clients, is setting this up for them. Hopefully that's clear. How do you pitch it as an add-on to business as well? In the tree service industry, it's quite easy because, and probably many other home service type contractors that aren't bigger organizations or operations. Like with tree services, that's an industry where it's usually very it's the companies are usually small. It's usually just the main tree guy himself, the main arborist or whatever, and then it's him and his crew. And that's usually in the tree service industry what it is. Now, certainly more ambitious tree guys will sometimes have multiple crews and things like that. But the majority of the business owners that I engage with for my agency or in the tree service industry are working contractors, in that they are out on the either up in a tree, or they're running equipment, or they're managing their crew. So the labor crew, that, there's climbers and groundsmen and all that kind of stuff. But whatever, most of the tree guys that are my clients are working contractors. They're not just some boss somewhere, right? They're actually out in the field doing tree work all day, every day. And so they miss calls. If the calls go directly to them, they miss calls all the time because they're busy. They don't hear it. They're running a chainsaw, whatever. And so with tree guys, it's easy because I can explain to them, like, and first of all, I ask tree guys when I get on a call with them, like, walk me through what happens when a lead comes in. Where is the lead generated? Like, how is it generated? Is it through phone call, contact form on your website? How does the lead come in? And when it does come in, what happens? Do you answer the phone? Does it go to voicemail? And I ask them these questions, and I let them tell me how inefficient, through their own words. By just asking them questions, they tell me their process of what they do when a lead comes in. And most tree guys don't have answering services. They just answer the phone when they're available, and when they're not, it goes to voicemail. So they miss a ton of leads that don't convert into, they have a call come in, but they don't convert it into a booked estimate request or quote request. So a booked appointment, because they miss the call, or it goes to voicemail. And maybe the prospective customer leaves a voicemail message, but because that customer didn't get an answer to their phone call, then they're going to call the next tree guy anyway, right after leaving a message. If, for those that do leave a message, because a lot of them won't, because a lot of them, they just want to get somebody on the phone and close that loop, right? Satisfy their query, which is, I want to book an estimate for a tree job, or tree work, right? And so with tree guys, when I ask them those questions about, tell me what happens when a lead comes in, where is it generated, how do you handle it, what happens if you don't answer the phone, all of that, they're literally telling me through their own words, and they start to realize how inefficient their process is. And then that's when I say, well, listen, because, by the way, I usually start that off with, what do you mean? What do you need most in your business? And most tree guys will tell you more leads. And then that's when I kind of transition into, like, well, okay, tell me what happens. How is the lead generated? What happens when it comes in, et cetera. And through that process, that's usually when we find out that it's not actually that some tree guys, yeah, they need leads, but other tree guys, they just have a really inefficient process. They don't answer the phone a lot of the times when the call's coming in from a real valid lead. So it's not that they need more leads, they need better systems. And one of those things that we can do, and I've been doing since 2014, was set up an answering service, because I tell them, like, look, well, if you're not answering the phone, and then you're losing a lot of potential customers that don't leave voicemail messages. And you're also, even those that do leave voicemail messages, do you have any stats? And most tree guys don't keep records, detailed records, so they can't give you actual statistics, but they'll tell you what they estimate, how many of those that leave voicemail message they actually convert into booked appointments. Because a lot of them end up that they'll call them back, but they've already got another tree guy out by that time, if that makes sense. So the point that I'm trying to make is, with an answering service, I tell tree guys, like, right off the bat, listen, through my experience of doing this for 10 years with tree guys, that even after the cost of setting up the answering service and paying the the operation cost, which is just a monthly fee, most of my tree clients averages out to be roughly a 30% increase in revenue, even after the expense of the answering service, because they're now closing more leads, or more calls that are coming in are turning into booked quote appointments or estimates. You know what I mean? And so it's not that hard of a pitch, when you especially when you're asking the prospect about what their process is, and through them telling you what their process is, they come to realize how inefficient that is, and how they're really leaking leads. It's like a bucket with a hole in it. You know what I mean? Like, leads are coming in, but a lot of them are falling right back out because they're not answering or responding to them quick enough. And so with the answering service, I tell them, look, when a call comes in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, there's going to be a live person answering the phone, which satisfies a lot of consumers. Like, some consumers don't even look for multiple quote requests. They'll just, as soon as they get the first person that answers, and then they're satisfied. And so this significantly increases the conversion rate from an inbound call to a booked appointment, if that makes sense. And so it's not that hard of a sale. And especially, I've been charging $500 a month for that, which I have a kind of a legacy account with their Answer Connect, because I've been using them for so long. So my pricing's a bit different than what they have now. So I usually pay, most of my operating cost for having a answering service for a tree service client is roughly about $300 a month. And I charge them $500 a month. Now it varies because it's by usage. So some areas where it's a lot more busy, my margins get smaller, or I might charge the client overrun for a particular amount of minutes used, et cetera. But for the most part, I don't really use it as much of a profit center as more so to help the business capture more leads. Because that's one thing is, again, guys, with SEO and lead generation, I'm sure some of you can relate to this. You do your job and generate the lead, but the client is doing a very poor job at fielding those leads, responding to those leads. And so what happens with the business? The client is going to say your leads suck. When you come to find out, no, your job is to generate the lead. And if we're doing that, then we should also be helping them have a better system, a better process for responding to the lead, following up in a timely manner, all that kind of stuff, so that they convert more of those leads into booked appointments. Because now that validates that our leads are good. It's not that the lead was bad, it's that their process sucked. And just having an answering service for a lot of home service type contractors is going to help them increase their booked appointment rate, their quote request, or a job survey rate, if that makes sense. Because they'll have more people, live body answering the phone. Somebody is satisfied. A lot of consumers will be satisfied that they got their call answered, and they can submit the project, or the details of the service request, et cetera. And then the contractor, there's a number of things you can do with it. You can have a live transfer after all the lead information has been captured, or it can just be most of my contractors just get an SMS and an email as soon as the lead information is captured. And so they will call them back immediately, or as soon as they're available. But again, it just satisfies a lot of the consumers that call, because now somebody answered the phone and took all their information, if that makes sense. So it's a great service to sell. You can make it a profit center for sure. I make small amount of margin on that in most cases, but in some cases it's really just about helping the business to get better results. Hopefully that makes sense.